All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel again, man. Appreciate all the love and support with you guys coming over now. We are on the Tell Us More channel, and we got another video about Ellen DeGeneres, the dark truth about Ellen DeGeneres. Now, let me tell you guys something. I've actually been on her show before all like the drama and everything happened with her, when people started to come out and talk about her. You know, I was on her show, I think, a few times. And I actually danced. Twitch picked me out in the audience and we had like a little dance battle. This was a few years ago. Rest in peace to Twitch. But there was an incident that I witnessed where they were playing this game, some audience members, and one of the audience members, I forgot exactly what happened, but they almost could have got injured. Something went wrong with the game. I forgot. But you know how y'all would, if you watching the show, you wouldn't see it because it would be a commercial break. But I just seen Ellen like kind of like yelling, like scolding someone on the staff or whatever. Her and Twitch were walking to the back and she was like yelling at them. But I just know that a lot of stories had came out. People just started to like vent and tell, you know, what happened, their experiences or whatever. But it's a lot of celebrities, man. That's why you're never supposed to idolize anyone, because you just don't. All right, but again, appreciate y'all coming over. That's my intro. Shout out to all the good humans. Link is always in the description. We ain't gonna waste no more time. Let's jump right into it.
Ellen DeGeneres is not who you think she is. From the outside, she appears to be a kind woman whose only goal is to spread love and positivity, but the reality is very different. For years, she maintained the image of the benevolent talk show host that could do no wrong, and viewers of The Ellen Show had little reason to think anything else. Almost everything she did showed her to be a genuine and caring person. She constantly gave out gifts to her guests, made donations to charity, and preached about the importance of kindness. Even the mantra for her show was be kind to one another. But in 2020, amid emerging reports of a toxic workplace culture, more and more people started coming forward about their horrible experiences with Ellen. From Mariah Carey being manipulated by Ellen to reveal her pregnancy before she was ready, to her heartless treatment of the rising kid star Grace and Chance, there are countless stories that show Ellen is far more sinister than she seems. After 19 years on air, The Ellen Show has finally come to an end. But just how bad were the things that went on behind the scenes, and what type of person is Ellen when the cameras aren't rolling? In March 2020, the comedian Kevin T. Porter tweeted that Ellen is one of the meanest people alive, before asking people to respond to his tweet with the most insane stories they've heard about her being mean. For each story submitted, he said he'd donate $2 to the LA Food Bank. The tweet got thousands of replies, many of which were quite disturbing. A TV writer called Benjamin Seaman shared a few stories he'd heard. She has a sensitive nose, so everyone must chew gum from a bowl outside her office before talking to her, and if she thinks you smell that day, you have to go home and shower. A new staff member was told every day she picks someone different to really hate. It's not your fault, just suck it up for the day and she'll be mean to someone else the next day. They didn't believe it, but it ended up being entirely true. When she's in a bad mood, staff members were highly encouraged by upper management to go into her office and do bits to cheer her up. Of course, there was no way to—
apologies for my dogs. They said if you smell, you got to go home out and you got, I mean, boy, you got to chew gum because she has a sensitive nose. So bad breath, body odor. I mean, being honest, that's not that bad. If you smell, like, if multiple people are complaining about it, like, this is the workplace, not the gym. 'Cause I guess it's all about how you say you need to go home, you know?
tell whether the stories were really true or not, but judging by the sheer number of people saying very similar things, this really didn't look good for Ellen. Her problems got worse after the pandemic sent the nation into lockdown. A news report from Variety revealed that Ellen's crew members received no communication about the status of their working hours or pay for over a month.
Dang.
Ellen hired an external tech company to begin shooting the show out of her California mansion, leaving her employees completely in the dark about their situation. When producers finally weighed in, they told crew members they'd be getting a 60% reduction in pay despite the show continuing to air. This looked even worse because other talk show hosts like Jimmy Kimmel paid their workers in full out of their own pockets. Threads started popping up on Reddit saying Ellen was never a nice person and all of this is nothing new. People were sharing uncomfortable interviews of hers from the past. There was an old interview with Taylor Swift where Ellen kept prying into her love life to the point that she almost broke down.
Ring it on 3 different guys. We'll narrow it down. You're supposed to ring
But
one.
I don't want to. I don't want to.
I'll hold it for you.
This is me.
Okay, all right.
There was also the awkward interview with Celine Dion in which Ellen kept asking when she was going to cut her son's hair.
All right, well, it seems like you're busy with something because you're forgetting to cut your son's hair. Look at him. He is beautiful, but look at his hair. When are you going to cut that hair?
And then there was a time she tried making Mariah Carey drink alcohol to expose whether or not she was pregnant.
Let's toast to you not being pregnant. If you're not pregnant, then we should.
My goodness.
Wow.
You're pregnant. You're pregnant.
No,
you
I
are
didn't say
pregnant.
that. No.
Mariah later said this experience made her feel extremely uncomfortable because she was in fact pregnant at the time. She was reluctant to share the news publicly until she reached her second trimester when the risk of miscarriage falls. What makes this story even worse is that not long after the interview, Mariah did miscarry. She kept this to herself at the time, but amidst the news about Ellen in 2020, Mariah spoke out against the way she was treated. There have been numerous awkward interviews just like this over the years. You could argue Ellen was just trying to make the show entertaining, but it's clear she'd simply take things too far. And if the personal stories people posted on Reddit are to be believed, she treats people that don't have celebrity status even worse. One Redditor wrote, "True story. My buddy and I rented a room on Airbnb on Sunset Boulevard in LA. The owner of the house was an Emmy award-winning writer and worked on Ellen's show. We asked about Ellen and mentioned how nice she seemed to us. He replied that she is an awful person to work for and very rude and mean to the writers. Nothing they wrote was good enough for her, and what you see on TV is a persona. She's a don't meet your hero kind of person."
Dang.
Another wrote, "I went to a wedding about 6 years ago in Hollywood. At the wedding was a girl who was some sort of close assistant of Ellen. I reacted by saying, 'Oh, that's so cool. How is it working with her?' The response was along the lines of, 'Actually, it's terrible. I quit my job and dream because she made me so miserable.' Someone replied, 'I work in TV and film. Everyone I have talked to who has worked with Ellen say she is a monster.' But all of this reached a whole new level in July 2020 when BuzzFeed released 2 news stories on what was happening behind the scenes of the Ellen show. They interviewed dozens of former employees who shared their horrible experiences working there. The first article revealed that workers faced racism, fear, and intimidation tactics day after day. One former employee said that be kind bullshit only happens when the cameras are on. It's all for show. People are being fired for taking medical leave or bereavement days, others for speaking out against the poor treatment they were receiving, and one for as little as posting a picture with their co-workers on social media. A black woman who used to work on the show told BuzzFeed she experienced racist comments and microaggressions during her year and a half as an employee. When she was hired, a senior level producer told her and another black employee, 'Oh wow, you both have box braids. I hope you don't get you confused.' And at a work party, she said one of the main writers told her, 'I'm sorry, I only know the names of the white people who work here.' Most of the former employees blamed executive producers for the day-to-day toxicity, but the feeling was that ultimately it was Ellen's name on the show and she needed to take more responsibility for the workplace environment. In response to the allegations being made, Warner Brothers launched an internal investigation and they reportedly found deficiencies in the show's day-to-day management. This happened just before BuzzFeed released their second news story, which was arguably worse than the first. Dozens of former Ellen Show employees say executive producers engaged in rampant sexual misconduct and harassment.
Man.
One ex-employee said head writer and executive producer Kevin Lehman asked him for sexual favors in a bathroom at a company party in 2013. In May 2017, another former employee also said she saw Lehman grope a production assistant in a car and kiss his neck. It was said that Lehman routinely made sexually explicit comments in the office, specifically targeting lower-level employees who felt they lacked any power to speak up. There were similar reports about Ed Glavin, another executive producer on the show. Apparently, he had a reputation for being handsy with women, often placing his hands on their lower waist or rubbing their backs and shoulders without permission. 47 former employees said Glavin led with intimidation and fear on a daily basis, with one former employee saying that when they turned in their notice, Glavin flipped over a table and chair while screaming. Then there was the executive producer Jonathan Norman, who reportedly groomed an employee for months before making a move on him. In Ellen's defense, none of this was directly her doing, but some staff believe she knew what was going on and turned a blind eye.
That is key right there. That's what I'll be talking about. It's like, come on, man. Like, a lot of these people be knowing what be going on and they turn a blind eye to it. Boy.
Following the internal investigation conducted by Warner Brothers, all three of these producers were fired from the show. Ultimately, Ellen had to take responsibility for what went on, and she started the 18th season of her show with a public apology.
As you may have heard, this summer there were allegations of a toxic work environment at our show, and then there was an investigation. I learned that things happened here that never should have happened. I take that very seriously, and I want to say I am so sorry to the people who were affected.
The viewing figures for the show's 18th season showed just how damaging the controversy had been. They drew in an average of 1.4 million viewers per episode compared to 2019 when the average was 2.6 million. The fall in viewership came with reports that Ellen was struggling to book high-profile guests or even attract sponsors. It all seemed to be going downhill, and a couple of weeks before the season came to an end, Ellen announced that the next season would be her last.
Today, I am announcing that next season, season 19, is going to be my last season.
She claimed the decision had nothing to do with the drama from the previous year, but people connected the dots and they weren't convinced. The next and final season had a similar lackluster performance before Ellen said her final farewells. But even with the show ending, the negative news stories about Ellen didn't stop. In September 2022, Grayson Chance, a rising kid star Ellen took under her wing in 2010, came out about the way he was treated by her. Grayson went viral after he posted a cover of Lady Gaga's song Paparazzi on his YouTube channel. Ellen flew him out to appear on her show and told his mother that she's never going to have to work again a day in her life. She showered Grayson with gifts, including $10,000 and a new piano. But after signing him to her music label 1111, things took a turn for the worst. Grayson said that when he began touring, Ellen became overly controlling and domineering, and his whole week, month, or even year would change with just a single text from her. She would come in and look at a rack, yell at stylists, berate people in front of me, and say, "This is what you're wearing on the show." She was just degrading to people. One time, Ellen gave Grayson an advanced copy of Justin Bieber's Never Say Never documentary and told him to watch it. But given Grayson was working 14 to 16-hour days while touring, he was exhausted and didn't get around to it. When Ellen found out he hadn't watched it, she confronted his mother saying, "What type of mother are you? Do you realize that I went out of my way to get this for you and he can't sit down and watch it? Disappointed isn't even remotely what I'm feeling right now." After Grayson's 2012 EP underperformed, he said Ellen completely removed herself from his career and wouldn't return his calls. Not long after, she dropped him from her label entirely. His final words were that he's never met someone more manipulative, more self-centered, and more blatantly opportunistic than Ellen. What's unsettling about this story and all the others is just how different Ellen seems to be from her on-screen persona. There's no question she's helped a lot of people out during her career, but she's clearly not the saint people thought her to be. And after nearly 2 decades of dominating daytime TV, it's hard not to wonder how many other people she's mistreated along the way.
This is like one of those cases of the good doesn't outweigh the bad. Like, of course, she has so many people on the show doing giveaways. You know, she do her Christmas stuff and this. But is that like, I mean, a lot of that stuff is sponsorship. So like, it's not like she's giving away the stuff, you know, it's like from the sponsors. But at the same time, it's like, is that a cover up for how you really are? Because like, once you get I'm telling you, it's people that are so powerful that it takes a whole army to speak out against them for people to believe it. You know what I mean? Because people be like, "Oh, yeah, right, Ellen. Oh, come on now." Like I told you, I went on the show a few times and we had a good time. You know? Who was there? Was it? Did I go there when Kobe was there? I forget. But I'm just saying, don't idolize or stop idolizing these celebrities, man. A lot of them are evil. It's crazy too, because a lot of them they say that they come from nothing, you know. Back in the day when I was young, we didn't have this, we didn't have that. You would think that would make them more humble and grateful and understand just people more. But it's like as soon as they get rich, they just change. They change. Is all this stuff in here true? Maybe. But I definitely have an open mind about this, because I mean, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people to be speaking out against her. You know, although I went to her show, I never met her personally to know. But like when you're on TV, when that camera on, it's like it's a personality. Dang. But all right, again, appreciate you guys coming over and watching, man. Boy, this is crazy. Peace out.